Welcome to Attainable Green. I'm Jess, and today we're going to do a carecollab video on the Dendrobium Victoriae Reginae. Not only am I talking about the care of this plant, but honeybees and orchids, ninja orchids, and Fernanda nascimento. So we are all going to share our knowledge of how we grow this plant in our climates, and hopefully that will help you to grow this plant better. So let's begin. I've had the Dendrobium Victoriae Reginae for about 2 years now. This is the second winter season that I've had this plant. I don't think that it is mature enough to bloom just yet, but it'll be exciting to see what it does this upcoming season. So I'm going to start with the general environment. I have this plant in my side yard. It is growing outdoors in a humidity tent year round. I like having this plant in my humidity tent because it gets that extra amount of moisture and it just helps keep the plant pretty protected. When it comes to light, it gets about 6 to 8 hours of sunlight during the growing season, and the rest of the time it's in bright shade. This is not a very high light plant, so I think it does well in its current setup. This plant likes intermediate temperatures and it favors being on the cooler side. So I like to keep this plant between 40 degrees Fahrenheit to 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Here in Southern California, it definitely gets hotter than 80 degrees during the summer season. So when it gets quite hot, I like to keep the plant cool by keeping it well watered and well hydrated. When it comes to watering, I water this plant fairly frequently. During the growing season, I water about every other day. And in the wintertime right now, I water about once a week. This plant really likes to stay more evenly moist, and it doesn't like to dry out for long periods of time. I use tap water on most of my orchids, and this one is no different. The water parameters are a pH between 7 and 8 and a TDS between 200 and 300 parts per million. When it comes to fertilizer, I use slow-release NutriCoat, and that works for most of the orchids that I have outdoors. The media for this dendrobium is a small bark mix. I have also seen this plant grown with sphagnum moss because it likes to stay evenly moist, but I don't think that it's too picky about its media. As for repotting, I haven't repotted this plant just yet. The new canes come out from the base of the plant and it's very close together. I think it'll be a very long time before this plant outgrows its pot. Dendrobiums tend to do well in smaller pots, so that's kind of why I have delayed repotting this. If I notice that the media is breaking down, then I will definitely refresh the media and probably keep it in the same size pot. As for problems with this plant, I haven't actually had any problems with it. So far, I tried to maintain good conditions and good culture for this plant, so I haven't really stressed it out. That's not to say that there won't be problems in the future, but for now, I haven't really had any problems with it. In general, my dendrobiums tend to attract slugs. I'm not sure why, but slugs really like my dendrobiums, so I have to keep an eye out for slugs because they can damage my root system and they tend to chew up some of the leaves as well. Currently, there are 2 canes on this plant and they are both quite thin. I know that this dendrobium can get some pretty fat canes, but they tend to be very thin at the base, and as it heads towards the top, it can get quite fat. So this plant is known to be quite top heavy, and over time it can grow to be quite pendulous. Some people like to grow it upside down or have it hanging over the side of a pot. Currently, I have mine staked up so that it is upright, but I know that in the future that might not be possible because the height of this plant might outgrow the height that I have available in my humidity tent. So that is the basic care of the Dendrobium Victoriae Reginae, and I am really interested to see how ninja orchids, Fernanda, and honeybees and orchids grow their plants. Well, that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel Attainable Green to follow along on my orchid growing journey. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!